Hello, everybody. Welcome to our new TV show slash YouTube podcast. It's She Scores. We're going to cover everything related to women's soccer and, of course, the Women's World Cup, which is going to start up next week. We have two awesome doctors, Dr. Alfred Atanda and Dr. Lauren, who was a former soccer player, D2 soccer player to be precise. So they're going to cover every injury and analysis we need to know. And, of course, our very own Milsey, who's going to give us all the latest news and updates. And let's get started, guys. Dr. Atanda, let's start with you. What are you looking forward to this World Cup, and what's the team? Let's just dive right into it. What's the team you're going to root for, and who do you think is going to win?
No hesitation. Okay, yeah, I mean, it's going to be very interesting. As you all know, there's about 8 teams, Cinderella teams who have never been to the Women's World Cup, who are making their debut. So a lot of kind of small upstarts, everyone from Haiti to Vietnam to the Philippines to Panama. So there's going to be a big wide field. Obviously, the regular favorites, the U.S., France, Spain, England, Germany, those are going to be your teams to look out for. I'm a United States, homegrown guy, so I'll be pulling for them. But outside of the United States, I'm really thinking about Spain taking a deep run. I know that they're not ranked in the top 3 or one of the 3 top teams to be likely to win. But just covering them and looking at some of their injuries and players, I think they have a lot of firepower, and I'll be very interested to see what they can do.
Yep. We'll see. I think US is favored. They're like plus 225. They're favorites to win the World Cup. So let's see what happens. And Dr. Atanda, like you mentioned, we have a lot of newcomers this year. Philippines, Vietnam, Zambia, Haiti, Portugal, which is surprising. Ireland and Morocco. So that's like a handful of new teams. And in the video you made about Spain, I would have never guessed it's Spain's third World Cup.
Third out of 9.
Oh my, that is surprising. That is super surprising.
You think of them as a UEFA powerhouse, obviously.
Yeah.
But this is their 3rd Women's World Cup. So we'll have to see. Hopefully they can try to make a name for themselves.
Okay. Let's jump on to our very own soccer player, Lauren. So what are your expectations? Who do you think is going to win this World Cup?
I mean, I'm also going for Team USA. Have to. I grew up, this is nostalgic for me. I grew up, living and breathing for these World Cups, and just every year seeing them win. It's changed so much, though, because now there's a lot more competition. It used to just be a cakewalk, and all these other countries that weren't even, playing women's soccer, let alone, on a high level, are now competitors. So it's changed the game, and it's made USA have to be greater. I'm happy that, this could be a 3 in a row if they do win, which is a big deal. But yeah, it's not going to be easy this time. So I have taken a liking to England. I think they've got a lot of cool players and a lot of good things going on, despite their injuries as well. So I'm really excited to see what they do. They've got cool kids. They're just I don't know, the ladies are cool. But I'm also, intrigued to see Germany and Spain too. And they think they're solid. Spain's feisty. Germany is always strong tactically. So it could be anyone's game, but I got to go USA.
Well, England does have the best jerseys, hands down, it's super cool. And for me, I think I kind of mentioned in our pre-talk with Mills and our other doctor, Dr. Harges, I think Canada is going to have another magical run this time. I don't know, they're defending Olympic gold medalist, and they're coming up with pretty good confidence. Millsy, you're rolling with Jamaica to win it?
Of course they're a team I'm going to follow, but actually just like their male counterparts who is also a world power, I'm going to take France to take it all. I'm also going to be I'm going to France.
I thought you were going to say France because they're going to lose in the final again to the US.
Oh, come on. Oh, he always begs me about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have France. They just have so much. I love the shape they're going with. I love their attacking players. Even though they also have some injuries in the midfield, I still like their defense is going to be one of the better ones, and also their midfield is very compact and very technical as well. Of course, I've got to go with my native Jamaica. I'm going to look at those well too. I'm also very interested in Brazil, Sweden, and also Nigeria.
Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. A lot of new teams, Mills, you picked up. Mills, you mentioned some injury updates. We have both doctors who are going to kind of give us an update on injuries. Mills, do you want to list all the injuries, and let's jump on to the professionals out here?
Yeah, as we all saw recently in the news and also on social media, if you follow the FIFA Women's World Cup Twitter page, there was 2 main injuries that happened ironically, in 2 friendlies going up to the World Cup that's starting next week. Number one was, unfortunately, the left winger from France. Her name is Selma Baka. She suffered a very serious left ankle injury when when they were going up against Australia. She got tackled and her ankle twisted inward. And that's a rotational injury mechanism. So right now it's being officially said as a left ankle sprain. They don't know the severity of it, but she is likely to miss the France opener against Jamaica, and also the Irish midfielder Denise O'Sullivan. There was a closed door match between Ireland and Colombia, and it was called after 20 minutes. And FIFA says it's overtly physical play. It resulted in a total of 15 cards, 8 yellow.
Wow.
It said 8 yellow. Well, actually, 10 yellow and 5 red. So it was
in
very
20
physical.
minutes.
Yep,
In 20
that's
minutes,
crazy.
yes.
Wow.
And she suffered a moderate calf contusion. That's what they said. It looked really bad. She actually went to the hospital, but there was just some bruising to the shin bone, and she'd expected to be match fit, but she's day to day.
So, Dr. Atanda, do you want to touch upon Selma's injury? I know she's going to miss the first game, but
Yeah, I mean, lateral ankle sprains. I mean, I saw the imaging reports and such. It didn't look like anything a little bit more severe than that. For those rotational injuries, we always worry about either a fracture of the distal fibula or the small bone in the ankle, or sometimes a high ankle sprain, which involves the syndesmosis or the tissue that holds those two large bones together. She didn't have any significant disruption there, which is key for her. As we all know, we've all rolled our ankles and had big nuggets on the side of our ankles. I mean, they can linger if you're not lucky. Obviously, playing at this sort of high level, she's going to be expected to tough it out, at least for the second and third game of the group stages. If they're not lucky, though, she could probably miss the first and the second game. I would at least expect her to make one game in the group, but we'll have to see how she does in the ensuing days when she's, doing training and getting back on the pitch.
Lauren, do you want to touch upon the super physical game Mills mentioned upon? And does that the shin injury, are we thinking like a major injury out here, or what can we expect?
I saw a report, if it's accurate, that there was no fracture. It sounds like probably a severe contusion. I'm not sure, but I would assume that she'll be back. She just will have to kind of tough it out. But that game with so many cards being so physical is bizarre. I mean, I have to wonder what was going on. Was there some weird bad blood? Were there weird calls? That's quite a tremendous amount in a short period of time, especially coming into the cup where you would hope to kind of be mindful that you're preserving a little bit of yourself. So, I mean, I hope that they'll be okay. I mean, yeah, I'd like to learn more.
Yep. Dr. Atanda and Lauren, I know we've kind of covered in different videos, both of you have covered regarding the ACL injuries women athletes have suffered this year, leading up to the World Cup. A lot of injuries related to ACL. Can you guys touch upon it? I don't know exactly what happened. I know most of the injuries has been on field, but it's kind of the numbers are kind of skewed. Why are so many women soccer players getting so many ACL injuries?
Yeah, I mean, I can start. When you compare them to male soccer players, I mean, there's a lot of different anatomical differences. One of the big key issues is that the ACL is actually a little bit smaller in females than it is in males, and also the area in the knee, it's called the intercondylar notch. It's like a little house for the ACL. That area is smaller and more crowded, so sometimes that can get dinged up. Muscular control, like when a female athlete jumps and lands, they recruit different muscles in a different order, which unfortunately makes them more susceptible to injury, specifically also having a wider pelvis and being a bit more knock-kneed. Obviously there's hormonal imbalances with monthly cycles and such. In my practice, I would say for every 10 ACLs I do, 8 of them are probably young female athletes, high school athletes. And soccer, as you know, there's a lot of starting and stopping and jumping and twisting. So it's just it's a breeding ground for ACL tears, as we see, not just in the professional ranks, but also in the collegiate and youth ranks as well. Lauren, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this has been going on for a long time. It's nothing new. And it is multifactorial, it seems. I know a lot of research has been done, but we're still trying to really hone in on what it is. I'd be curious, maybe you can answer this. Has there been research on the time in a woman's cycle and the time of these ACL injuries? Is there a correlation?
Yeah, there's been extensive research looking at that. When women get pregnant, they have all sorts of back pain and knee problems and this and that. So it's the hormonal surges that definitely affect, and most of it is estrogen.
Right.
Unfortunately, estrogen has a negative effect on musculoskeletal tissues, including ligaments. So there's various points of the cycle. I mean, there's a little bit of a controversy as to when exactly in the cycle you're highest at risk, but we definitely know that there are times of the month where the hormonal surge is highest and you're at undue risk. I'm not a endocrinologist, and I don't know if it's the follicular phase or the luteal phase of the cycle or what have you, but there's definitely more times. And obviously also a lot of women are on birth control because they don't want to give birth while they're playing, and birth control is hormones. So it's a little bit of a bad setup, but and also women in general, especially young girls, are just playing more sports after Title IX and the last 30 or 40 years or so we just keep treating them as they get injured. There's certain preventative kind of plyometric exercises that have been shown to reduce the rate of ACL tears a little bit, but nothing is foolproof, as you can see, that even well-conditioned, high-profile professional athletes are still tearing them. So,
So go ahead, Lauren. Yeah.
I was just going to say, it seems so interesting because, like, for me personally, I'm a sample size of 1, but statistically, I would have thought I would have torn my ACL by this point in my life, considering how many games and practices I've done. And it does just make me wonder what type of genetic components, even within the female, could there be with any of these hormonal factors, whether it's like the ratio of estrogen or testosterone or things. And then like just the muscle development where, I'm like all thighs. And so maybe that's helped me. I don't, or the glutes, but like it's certain players that are so fit that get the tears. That's really it's really sad. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe more squats like Saquon Barkley. I don't know. I'm just making fun out there. Sorry about that. Okay, let's jump on to our very own U.S. Women's national team. Our team looks a lot different compared to the team which played last World Cup. A lot of injuries. I know, Dr. Atanda, you covered a lot of the full U.S. women in our preview video. Can you touch upon a little bit about what the U.S. Women's national team can expect, and are they going to miss any of the players who are not making this World Cup?
Yeah, I mean, there's several players with devastating injuries, patellar tendon ruptures, ACL tears, who were left out of it, and they definitely will miss some of those players. I think the U.S. is a bit deeper than most other teams out there, and they just have a huge pedigree. They've won the last 2 Women's World Cup, so they do have a lot of firepower off the bench. I don't think they will be as hurt as a similar, as another team with similar injuries. But I do think they would be better off if some of those players were still around. So we'll have to see, at least in the early games in the group, how that affects them. But I think they're pretty confident and mindful that they should be okay. But obviously you don't really know until the games start.
What about the players who are in the team and coming back from an injury, like Megan Rapinoe and Julie Ertz and folks like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think they should be pretty good to go. Obviously, Julie Ertz is coming off a pregnancy, so there's a lot of issues. It's not very common that women obviously have kids right in the span of,
even Alex Morgan, right? Like she had a kid a couple of years back.
Right, and you don't ever know how you're going to respond physically to that. Obviously, they're well-conditioned athletes, but sometimes it's a huge blow. I think Julie Ertz will be ready to go. Megan Rapinoe, that's more of a nagging kind of chronic thing that she's been dealing with. I think her seniority and her pedigree probably got her on the team. If she was a different player or younger, she may have just been left off. Because calf injuries, they can be good, and you make one false move and then it pops up again. It's like a hamstring strain or something like that. She's not starting anyway. She's going to be playing a different role than she's been used to in the previous several World Cups.
So is she the U.S. women's team mascot, since the World Cup mascot looks exactly like her?
I guess you can call her a mascot, but I would probably say it's more for her seniority and her leadership. Christine Lilly is the same way on the Canadian team. Marta is the same way on the Brazilian team. I mean, these people are in their upper 30s. I think Christine Lilly's 40, but they're still on the squad just for the mentorship, just for that presence. But when you combine an injury like that with Megan Rapinoe's, I don't want to call her old, but as young conditioned athletes go, she's a little more senior. That could be something to look out for, and just see what her longevity will be like and how many minutes she can give.
Okay. Milsey, any other main injuries we are missing out here? I know there are a couple from England who are missing the World Cup because of ACLs.
Yeah, we have a lot. We have so we have Irby. Is it Irby? Is that correct, Miss Lauren? That Irby, she's coming off. Fran Irby, she's coming off of the ACL. She is missed that she will not be. She's coming off an ACL injury too. Also, we have Jordan Hobbs. She was in the team. At first, we thought she would be out of the team, but actually, she's in the team coming off of that ACL injury, which was pretty interesting. That was a big surprise to me. I thought she was going to be left off, but there's also many other injuries going back to the U.S. team. Rose Lavelle, like who may be our best player. She's coming off that knee injury. She has barely played for her club team, and like she didn't play in the send-off match on the 9th. Also, Kelly O'Hara is still dealing with that hip flexor injury, or coming off of hip flexor injury. And also, just recently, Alyssa Nair, I believe, is the goalkeeper. She caught a little nickel. It's like a muscular thing. She should be fine. But those are the main injuries that we're seeing.
I think it's really interesting. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Lauren. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna, on that note, it's Fran Kirby, and they didn't actually state the type of knee injury, but it's listed as knee injury, and it's also for the Lionesses. It's Beth Mead with ACL tear and Leah Williamson. Leah is the captain, or she was. Now it will be Millie Bright, and Beth Mead was a Golden Boot winner last year, so those are like big losses for them. But yeah, it's Jordan Nobbs. She will be back. She will be playing. She's looking good in training right now. She had an ACL tear last year for England, but it's interesting how they can sometimes recover at different rates. And I know Dr. Tanda touched on this in one of his videos with, sometimes these recoveries are quite long-term before they're very solid. So like with Rose Lavelle, we'll have to see like, how is her psychology? It's, you've got to really overcome that fear. To get in there and give it your all and not be too hesitant. So I'm curious to see how that goes.
Yeah, there's a fair number of women out there who come on off of injury who haven't played, for their club team in 9-10 months. And it's just very interesting, just from a physical and a mental perspective. There are obviously going to be players who have been playing their club teams all through the previous months. And then there's players of great quality who haven't touched the ball in any competitive fashion in 6 or 8 months. And some people respond to that much differently. I think the group stages will really kind of give us some insight as to who's rusty, who obviously hasn't played, who can't handle the minutes. And it's hard to predict that. They have good quality, they're healthy, quote unquote. So you put them on the roster, but you don't ultimately know how not playing for a whole year is going to do to you, what that's going to do to you. So we'll have to see. It'll be very interesting to see how these early games shape up with injuries and who's effective and not so effective.
I was also going to just say with Rapinoe, I think it's going to be interesting because she just announced she'll be retiring after the World Cup. That made huge, waves in the news. So maybe she just plays her heart out. Like she said, screw this calf. I'm just going to give it my all. This is my last.
Yeah, maybe. Talking about group stages, looks like most of the groups are pretty, pretty easy for a couple of teams to come out of. But except one group, in my opinion, which is pretty stacked: France, Brazil, Jamaica, and Panama. I think that's a pretty tough group, and I think everyone can expect France and Brazil to come out of it. And I don't know. Have you guys looked into the different groups? And are you expecting any upsets or any tough groups?
Yeah, I mean, I think what you just mentioned, that's Group F. I think it's pretty locked in for France and Brazil. I think Jamaica could potentially be a spoiler. We'll have to see how they do. Panama, I mean, they're a bunch of young upstarts. It's their first Women's World Cup. They've shown some promise, but I can't imagine that they would come out. Sorry, my cat's joining us. I have some notes here. Group C is kind of who I've been looking at. A couple of MIDI videos that I've made.
Yeah.
Spain, Japan, Costa Rica, and Zambia. I mean, people are assuming that it would be Spain and Japan. I'd like to see what Costa Rica can do. Also, Zambia. This is their first show. And goalkeeper number 1 went down on July 7th with an ACL tear. Unfortunately, they actually beat. So I think any hopes that Zambia had to squeak out an upset could be very limited. But I'm thinking I'm going to stick with Spain, as I said at the beginning of the broadcast. That's going to be kind of my sleeper team that goes deep.
Okay. Lauren?
Yeah, I can't say I expect any huge upsets, but I was kind of interested when Dr. Tanda, I was watching your video on Nigeria, and just some of the players that are coming in from, everyone's getting mixed up now, playing on different professional leagues, different college teams. So I'd be curious to see what those ladies can pull out. And I think just the world of women's soccer has changed so much because of the development of all these pro leagues, and now these players have a lot more development. So maybe it will be anyone's game. I don't know.
Yep. So yeah, that's Group B, and that has Canada, Nigeria, Australia, and Ireland. So
yeah, they probably won't. Look, those 3 teams are like all way better.
Yeah, but you never know. You never know. Like again, they can be the Morocco of Women's World Cup. No one expected Morocco to go to the semifinals. So
they went so deep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Milty, you're sticking with your Jamaica group as a group of death for you?
I want to say, and I want to question the selection method, because how in the world do you get Brazil, Jamaica, France, and also
he's taking it personal, everyone. So
and also an upstart, and also a very good upstart Panama's playing some good football right now. You get them all, and it's random. I mean, come on, come on. But tinfoil hat aside, I'm definitely one group I am actually very interested in looking at is Group G, with Argentina, Italy, South Africa, and Sweden. Now, a lot of people are just immediately thinking that Sweden is going to walk over the group. They probably are right, because Sweden is the biggest challenge to the USA. As you know, Sweden has the USA's number. They've beaten them multiple times. They kicked them out of the last Olympics. And also, but Argentina is one to watch. And of course, Argentina won the World Cup, won the Men's World Cup. So who knows? Maybe they imparted some of that championship vibes. You never know.
You're looking at a double. You're looking at a double here.
Double anyway. But South Africa said South Africa has a young forward who is just tearing it up in Europe right now. Also, Italy can be a spoiler, but I would just go with the betting money, Sweden and Argentina to come out of this group. And I say France and Jamaica come out of Group F. Those are the 2 groups of death right there. Group B and Group F are the 2 groups of death.
I don't think that's happening. Let's see. Well, that's it for the show. But I do have to finish. We're gonna have. I'm gonna give out a parlay for everyone with all the betting odds for the group stages. You guys can agree, disagree. That's totally fine. But this is my parlay. A 4-leg parlay: Netherlands to beat Portugal first round, Italy to beat Argentina first round, France to beat Jamaica, and Denmark and China to be a tie. And if you put in $10, you're going to win. If you put in $100, you're going to win $800. It's plus 800 right now. So I don't know. That's my 4-leg parlay for group stages. Let's see what happens.
You're going to lose that part. You're going to lose that parlay. Denmark is going to crush China.
Nah.
It's the tie for me. The tie between Haiti and Denmark, you said?
No, China and Denmark.
No, excuse me.
China and Denmark.
China and Denmark.
No.
Maybe not. Okay, but again, when you I don't know. That's the game which is like giving the parlay like plus 800. So you have to take, Well, thanks again, everyone, for joining. Thanks again, Dr. Atanda, Dr. Lauren, and Milty, of course. And we'll see you guys after.